There are rumors that two of the most talked about celebrities from love and hip-hop, Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris, may have been permanently banned from all of the game's major reality TV programs. Indeed, not only suspended but forbidden. Fans never anticipated this, and it's surprising and explosive. Put on hold but outright banned, and the reason is because instead of a simple dispute or backstage drama, there are much more serious charges circulating, producers are panicking, and insiders are revealing information that might ruin whole franchises. From violent altercations that never occurred to secret meetings with network officials, everything is suddenly coming to light. Fans are in disbelief, cast members are divided, and the business is desperately attempting to deal with the aftermath. How did everything go wrong, and why are we so long-term? What's about to happen will blow your mind, so pay attention. Whispers and faint nods in the network office corridors marked the beginning of it all. Mendes and Kirk are among the celebrities who are being totally removed from the TV map. Will their careers finish here, or is this the beginning of a larger conflict? Both Harris of Men's and Kirk Frost were controversial figures in the love and hip-hop community. They were adept at handling chaos, lived on controversy, and fed off of it. Initially, their interactions during production meetings were mostly ignored. Kirk was not there when he was scheduled to record a family song with Rashida. This time, however, something seemed different. There was a darker undercurrent at work, and soon it was difficult to ignore the murmurs. Just days before Kirk and Mindy were supposedly seen arguing at a private cast party, not just your normal quarrel, but a full-blown yelling storm that escalated so severely. Insiders said it was something more serious. Producers said that his last-minute call was due to emotional stress. Security had to separate them. Some say they were almost punched, while others say the network tried to conceal it so they wouldn't have to deal with another public problem. Fans of hip-hop were already making demands for fresher plotlines and clearer drama, but Kirk and MVCs weren't helping, so rather than cooperating with the producers, both guys began making radical demands. Kirk insisted on having complete control over his tale and refused to record any sequences that presented him in a bad light. However, it is said that Menks informed one of the showrunners, "You don't get to tell my story unless I approve every word." The executives didn't appreciate this new rebellious attitude, a producer told a website under anonymity. They've always been difficult, but now it appears that they want to run the whole show. When storylines were cut short and production dates were thrown into chaos, tensions instantly rose, and other cast members were upset. Having previously publicly backed Ment, Rashida began to distance herself behind closed doors, telling a crew member during a break, "I can't keep covering for him. If he wants to destroy his own image, that's on him." Rashida was frustrated by Kirk's inability to cooperate. Strange situations between Kirk and Mindy started to catch fans' attention. DC began to remove episodes that were originally very dramatic. Online users all of a sudden started questioning, "Where's Kirk? What happened to male VCs?" There are many theories on social media, some believing the quiet suspension had already been implemented and others guessing that they were leaving the program willingly. But none of them foresaw what occurred during the network office was the scene of a heated argument between Kirk Min and two executive producers during a closed-door meeting, according to an anonymous source who witnessed the exchange. Kirk claimed the network was manipulating his image and threatening to release unedited footage, and DC's backed him up, saying a producer allegedly tried to defuse the situation by saying, "This show made me the bad guy, and now you want to erase me." And Kirk smashed his fist on the table. Kirk had had enough of being the antagonist. When security arrived, a fight broke out, and Kirk and Mendeecees, who refused to speak again, rushed out of the building. Later that day, an email was sent to the whole company, telling everyone that both men were being put on an indefinite production stop. Was not the end. A few days later, a leaked video of the first altercation between Kirk and Mimes at the cast party surfaced online. It was grainy and clearly recorded on a phone, but it showed all of the pushing and yelling, as well as the moment Kirk attempted to rush forward before being restrained. Within hours, the video went viral, startling back fans. Hashtags like #Kirksman and #Meltdown trended on Twitter, with some fans blaming Mendeecees and calling him toxic, while others defended Kirk, saying he was pushed too far. As their worst dread materialized, the network swung into full damage control, the chaos erupted into the real world, and sponsors quickly began to withdraw. One major sponsor allegedly stopped all future agreements with the franchise. Everyone was watching when the most surprising thing happened. 2 weeks after the movie was released, a covert court filing revealed that the network was terminating all current and future agreements with Kirk and Mendeecees because it was revealed that they had been banned from Love and Hip Hop and all associated reality TV programs because of several infractions of the network's code of conduct, threats against staff, and acts that harmed her image. When online fans discovered that Kirk and Mendeecees, two of the most well-known real-life figures, had been completely blacklisted, there was a lot of speculation. Some thought it was a setup, while others thought it was long overdue. Even former cast members started to comment, and Carly Red posted a menacing, "Some people forget cameras aren't the only thing recording," Lil Scrappy said in a tweet. Another Instagram post he shared stated, "Karma always comes around." Both Kirk and Mendeecees, on the other hand, remained silent and did not make a public statement, but those close to them revealed that they were both shocked and angry. Kirk felt deceived, especially considering everything he did for the company, and DC was rumored to be thinking about filing a lawsuit. It was reported that Rashida, who was caught in the middle, was devastated not only by Kirk's career setback, but also by how it was ruining their family, believing that the network had discarded him the moment he became inconvenient and used him for ratings, but that the situation was even more intense behind the scenes. Yandindi was also struggling, according to one friend. "He's angry all the time, and it's like he's shutting everyone out." Yandindi had advocated for Mendeecees for years and had faith in his progress. After helping him through his jail sentence, his parenting difficulties, and the media's condemnation of him, now that the business was turning its back on him, sources claim she felt the weight of his death and lamented in a private chat with her manager, "I don't know how to fix this." Not wanting to go quietly, Kirk and Mendeecees began reaching out to independent producers, podcast hosts, and even competing reality TV series in spite of the emotional toll. A source close to the situation stated that both were determined to give their side of the story unfiltered and raw, that they were planning something big, and that they wanted to reveal what actually goes on behind the scenes after everyone believed the drama had reached its climax. This is why the storm really began to build. Then a new layer of secrets emerged: private messages, whisper conversations, even a voice message that had been erased but recovered by someone, all of which hinted at something far more important than a fight at a party or a contract cancellation, something that could entirely change reality TV as we know it: the drama. Kirk and Mendeecees weren't the first reality TV stars to be treated this way, but they seemed to be fighting to expose a system that had exploited and then abandoned them rather than just for their careers as events continued to unfold and the industry began to buzz with new, darker information. Were determined to ensure they were the last. It all began with a leaked voice note, which was initially dismissed as just another rumor, but soon proved to be more than that. The recording, which was distributed to a small number of trustworthy insiders, featured a producer candidly discussing Kirk and Mendeecees' treatment in the last months of their lives. The producer said, "We use them for ratings and then toss them when they're no longer useful." Kirk has been a liability for years, and men, don't even get me started on him, have a lot of baggage. The recording sent shockwaves through the industry, confirming what many had long believed. Their voice was dripping with contempt. Kirk and Mendeecees, as previously thought, were never truly in control of their stories. Their rise to fame and subsequent fall were meticulously planned by the producers, who exploited their personal romances, feuds, and conflicts to increase viewership. When the drama stopped making money, they weren't thrown away after the voice message went viral, and people began to rally behind Kirk and Mendeecees, while some viewers had long believed that the reality TV business was dishonest. Hearing the facts made it obvious that it wasn't simply Kirk and Mendeecees' opinion. "This is about all the people who are exploited for the sake of entertainment," a fan said, prompting the network to act quickly to lessen the destruction. "We must learn the truth about what really occurs behind the scenes." The public's perception of reality TV changed overnight, and viewers began to question everything they had watched for years. Kirk and Mendeecees' observations were false, but it was too late. The damage had already been done. Instead of giving up, the discovery of the voice note only strengthened their resolve, and they began reaching out to journalists, podcast hosts, and even former cast members who had tense relationships with the network to reveal the truth about reality TV and to topple the system that had exploited them. They weren't going to let there. He had been meeting with many prominent attorneys to set up a legal battle that could potentially upend the foundations of the industry his team was reportedly drawing a case against, according to people close to Mendeecees. Careers can be destroyed without a fight. The personal lives of Kirk and Mendeecees began to deteriorate amid this chaos, with Kirk being accused of defamation, wrongful termination, and emotional distress. Kirk, on the other hand, was rumored to be preparing an open interview that would eventually reveal everything that had gone wrong during his time on the show. To make things worse, Kirk, who had always been the calmer of the two, was suddenly showing signs of being shaken, and according to a close friend, he spent long hours pacing his home because he was tormented by the whole scenario. Rashida, on the other hand, was caught in a spiral of emotions, torn between her husband's loyalty and the truth of their circumstances. She wanted to be loyal to Kirk, but she felt totally deceived after putting her trust in the network, and he can't stop thinking about how everything went wrong. When it became clear that Kirk had been tricked by the same people who had previously praised him for his theatrical schemes, she had to be there to support him through the mayhem, but she also had to accept the truth that was unfolding and not pretend that nothing was wrong. Rashida had reportedly considered leaving the hip-hop and love industry because the stress of the situation and the ongoing public scrutiny were beginning to wear her down. According to insiders, Rashida was considering changing careers, possibly embarking on a solo musical endeavor or launching her own business. The real storm was building between Mendeecees and Yandy. Their relationship has always been a roller coaster, but she has been talking a lot about going her own way, and one insider claims that she doesn't want to be associated with the drama any longer since it is just too much. And ups and downs, but now that their futures are uncertain and the media is focusing on them, the tension was apparent. Yandy, who used to be a staunch advocate for men, was apparently shocked by the betrayal, feeling that she had always had his back, but now it feels like it's not just about the show anymore. It's about the family, the kids, and their future, an insider said, dragging her down with him. She's stuck in the middle, and it's tearing her apart, the source claimed, seemingly unfazed by the strain in his personal life. According to a friend, Kirk was on a mission, and this was his opportunity to topple the entire system, and he was quietly rebuilding his network of allies while Mendeecees were planning his next move. Kirk was more focused than ever on his legal battle and his plans to expose the reality tape machine. Those who had lost their jobs on the show were reaching out to each other to offer support and to share personal stories of abuse and exploitation. Some even suggested that Kirk and Mendeecees were not the only celebrities who had been exploited, but that many others had also been treated unfairly and had never been given a chance to speak out. One former cast member, who asked not to be named, told a popular website that Kirk and Mendeecees were the first to really fight back. They're doing what a lot of us wanted to do, but we were too scared to speak out now that they are leading the charge. Fearing that if you speak out, the network would control not only your story, but also your career. Because of this, the network was undertaking. By spreading counter-narratives that portrayed Kirk and Mendeecees as bitter, unhappy former stars who couldn't understand that they were only attempting to leverage their issues to remain relevant, public relations teams did all in their power to counter the growing narrative. Kirk and Mendeecees fans grew as the network refused, and the hashtag #reveal_Ariel_reality gained traction as viewers sought social responsibility and transparency, despite the network's denial that their time was gone. When media influencers entered the conversation, they told followers that it was time to halt the exploitation of reality TV stars and demand better treatment. These shows make millions off our pain, and we've had enough. Kirk and Mendeecees' war continued, with the future of love, hip-hop, and reality TV in general hanging in the balance. Would they finish up defeating the industry giants, or was this the beginning of something much more significant? Larger battle that would change the entertainment landscape forever. As Kirk and Mendeecees' battle intensified, the drama surrounding their blacklisting reached new heights, and it became more than just about their careers. It was about exposing the sinister underbelly of the reality TV industry as a whole. Both celebrities have changed into emblems of resistance against the system that had long profited from their suffering. But the stakes were increasing, and every move they made seemed to draw more attention from their supporters and critics. Meanwhile, the network were becoming more and more desperate because they knew that if Kirk and Mendeecees were successful in revealing the truth, their carefully constructed world of fabricated conflict and fantastical personalities would fall apart, with catastrophic repercussions for the network and the whole reality TV genre to destroy their entire empire. Discredit Kirk and Mendeecees. The network began to leak stories to the press, and gossip sites were flooded with claims that the two celebrities were difficult to work with, acted toxically behind the scenes, and were just trying to stay relevant by stirring up controversy. It was clear that the network were at odds. filthy, doing everything in their power to maintain control of the reality tape machine and protect their reputation. But Kirk and Mindy weren't going to give up. In fact, the attacks made them more determined because they knew the network was terrified, and that fear only confirmed their rightness. They felt more empowered to speak out the more the network tried to silence them, and Kirk in particular became a vocal advocate for the truth and began using his social media platforms to spread his version of events, including behind-the-scenes videos of his time on Love and Hip Hop. The unvarnished, raw film showed never-before-seen communications between him and the producers, the manipulation, the stage drama, and the emotional toll that reality TV stars had to endure, a side of the business that fans had never seen before. Not only were we reenacting scenarios, but we were also being controlled. They told us what to say, who to fight, who to love, and who to hate. We gave them the drama they needed, but when the cameras stopped rolling, they no longer cared about us. They exploited us, and now they're trying to erase us. The video quickly went viral, and fans flocked to the comments section in support of Kirk. I always felt something was wrong with reality TV, and one fan commented, "Thank you for speaking out. We deserve it." Kirk's tweet sparked a giant reaction, with many others acknowledging that they had also been impacted by the media and sharing personal stories of how reality TV had changed their lives. Kirk's message was clearly resonating with fans who had long questioned the artificiality of reality TV but were reluctant to give up on their tale. And after being seen millions of times, the hashtag #FrethKings began to trend. Kirk's revelations were a desperate attempt to stay relevant after his program was canceled, according to counterattacks, but Mend was using a different approach, focusing on social media to reveal the network's misconduct, while Mend was pursuing a more with the deliberate intention of proving that reality TV was about more than drama, but also about profit manipulation and exploitation. He had covertly begun working with a group of investigative journalists in an attempt to gather more damning evidence that would ultimately force the network to examine the truth. An insider close to Mendeecees said, "He's not just interested in telling his story. He wants to expose the business behind the scenes, he believes. Mendeecees wants to show how the network profits from the pain and trauma of its stars, and he was particularly interested in the financial side of things. If people knew how much money they were making off of these made-up storylines, they would realize how corrupt the system is." Kirk and Mendeecees' surprise ally in the midst of their argument was a former producer who had worked with them on Love and Hip Hop. "I was there when the program started, and I watched as it went from something real to something false," the producer said in an exclusive interview, adding, "When I recently left the show, I reached out to both stars, offering to share insider knowledge that could help them in their struggle." The entertainment sector was rocked by the producer's disclosure. Fans have speculated for years about the authenticity of reality TV, but this was the first time an insider disclosed that everything you saw on that program was pre-planned. All the fights and arguments were prearranged, validated their suspicions. To manufacture drama, the network staged fights, twisted cast relationships, and created false storylines, the producer went on to say. Both what the audience wanted to see and what worked were comprehended by them. The interview with the producer changed everything. It gave Kirk and Mend more motivation to keep fighting and exacerbated the controversy that engulfed the network, which was keen to limit the harm. We were all but pawns in a game, however, and the cast members were left to pick up the remaining pieces. Tried to use legal threats to get the producer to stop talking, but it was too late since the secret had already gotten out. They found that Kirk and Mindy were becoming more separated from their old classmates, many of whom had earlier been eager to follow the wave of the two began to lose favor with reality TV stars. Some were afraid of being connected to the controversy, while others just did not want to risk their careers by coming out. But Kirk and Mindy were not disheartened. They had already come this far, and now that they were aware of it, they had no intention of giving up. With Kirk preparing for a high-profile interview with a prominent news organization in which he planned to reveal even more shocking details about his time on Love and Hip Hop and VCS, the stakes were higher than ever before. Meanwhile, Kirk was completing their next move, which was to ensure that the truth was revealed. As this was happening, the network were working hard to keep the story under control and stop any further leaks from happening. But it seemed like they were losing ground every day. He was putting the last touches to his case, hoping that he would be given the justice he believed he was due. Change was clearly occurring in the actual world. Would be forever changed as a result of the revelation of the truth, with Kirk and Mendeecees at its core. Every move they made seemed to bring them closer to the truth as they battled the TIG empire's reality, but they also felt the strain growing. Deeper into a maze of danger and uncertainty, the network was using every effort to conceal the scandal to protect its name. But the two remained steadfast in their determination to expose the exploitation. The two celebrities were invited to appear before a secret panel of business experts, including senior network members, which heightened tensions between Kirk Mendeecees and the network. It was the panel's only goal to persuade. Although neither man looked forward to the encounter, they both understood that it was necessary since the stakes were greater than ever. A cool professional atmosphere welcomed Kirk and Mendeecees as they walked into the room. Sitting behind a long, gleaming, at the head of the table was a familiar figure, despite their gloomy and inscrutable expressions. The showrunner of Love and Hip Hop, who had been instrumental in both their rise to fame and, more recently, their fall. The showrunner, gentlemen, began in a fluid but a little tension at the core. "We've been listening carefully to everything you've said, and we understand how annoying reality TV can be. But it's important to remember that this is a business, and the network's interests come first." Kirk's face is turned away and his arms are folded. "But what you're doing isn't right. You're not just manipulating the audience. You're manipulating us, and you're making money off our pain," he said in a steady but slightly defiant voice. The men who had been silent during the meeting finally interrupted, adding, "I've been in this game long enough to know how it works." This was becoming out of control, and the showrunner's demeanor remained the same, but it was clear that he was becoming irritated. "You've been dominating us for years, and we're over it," he said in a resolute and strong tone. "We want the world to know what's really been going on behind the scenes. You want to abandon this program that you owe your careers to. You are not owed anything by us. Beyond themselves, you are a part of something far bigger." In response, Kirk said, "You used us." As Kirk and Mendeecees left the chamber, they knew the conflict was far from done. According to Kirk and Mendeecees, "We've already started. You're just too blind to see it." The network had said that they were prepared to take whatever necessary action to protect their brand. Until trending was the hashtag #Fretheth, and fans and industry insiders were commenting on the controversy. The impact from Mendeecees' discoveries was spreading like wildfire, and both of them were equally committed to exposing the truth at any cost. And Kirk's and Mendeecees' posts appeared to get greater attention every time they were published. But the network weren't remaining silent either. They launched a publicity offensive to paint the two superstars as ungrateful and jealous of their success. The slander effort seemed successful, at least. Because they wouldn't exist without the program, several fans first turned against Kirk and Mendeecees, accusing them of trying to destroy the reality TV industry in vengeance. In one response, someone said, "Now they're just bitter." But rather than allowing the criticism to stop them, Kirk and Mendeecees stepped up their attempts to expose the truth about BCs, and he started offering more proof in a calm and collected manner. As Kirk was preparing for a well-known live interview, he received emails and messages with behind-the-scenes video that showed how much the network can deceive their stories and use their personal lives to get revenue. The stakes were greater than ever, with everyone ready to take up the administration of the network personally. The whole reality TV business, not just him and Mendeecees, would change if he could reveal the truth. With the day of the interview approaching, the stress continues to grow the network, which was frantically trying to find a method to prevent the interview from happening. "I'm not doing this for the money," Kirk said in a statement, adding that he was doing it for the truth. They even offered him a substantial amount of money in return for his silence, but Kirk refused to be persuaded. At last, the day of the interview came, and, with millions of people tuning in to hear what Kirk had to say, the network held its breath as he sat down on stage. Anticipation was high. Kirk was asked the first question by the presenter, a well-known journalist, in a polite but insightful manner. "You have been vocal against the exploitation of reality TV stars. Kirk, what has been taking place behind the scenes, in your opinion?" Kirk began outlining the events that led him to decide to speak up, and his response had a significant influence. He spoke about the strain on emotions, the deceit, and his remarks were truthful and unfiltered. The audience listened intently, anticipating every word, and the network had complete control over his life. "It's more than simply the drama," Kirk said. "They were just concerned with ratings and didn't care about our well-being, as seen by the way they took advantage of us to make money." The conversation became a turning moment in Kirk and Mendeecees' quest for the truth. Was now about more than just them, but the whole reality TV business. By the time the interview ended, Everyone was listening because they had exposed the terrible reality that lay underneath the glamorous exterior. The host praised Kirk's bravery and tenacity, but the battle was far from over, and Kirk and Mend had already become icons. Their battle was not just for their personal atonement, but also for the rights of others in an exploitative industry. Future generations of reality stars need to learn the truth so they know the network won't silence them. Now that the revelations have come to light and they face an uncertain future, may they dominate the narrative again, or had Kirk and Mendeecees changed the game irrevocably? As the narrative progresses, it is unclear what will happen to Kirk and Mendeecees. Do they can regain their jobs and come out with the truth, or will the network be able to silence them for good? It will only be known in time. Say, but obviously this story isn't over yet. We'd want to hear your. What do you think Kirk and Mendeecees are doing right in light of the shocking events that have happened? Do you believe they're just causing trouble for their gain, or are you speaking out? In the comments area below, kindly let us know whether you, if you like this dramatic turn in reality TV, please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. On the channel, click the bell icon to make sure you don't miss any new updates. Get the latest details on Kirk Mendeecees and all the latest news by watching the video and returning. Drama behind the scenes on reality TV. We value your support and will keep giving you the tell your friends about the tales you're desiring, and then let's have a conversation. See you later. Time frame.